Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Cote, and I am your podcast host here in Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I have on the show with me Joel Kenty, owner of Green Knight Metal Roofing. Today, we're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a sneak peek to what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations like this one. Well, Joel, welcome and thank you for being here today. Please give us a brief overview of your background and tell us a bit about your business.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I guess a little bit about my background is I have a very diverse background. I actually have a degree in hotel and restaurant management, and I was in the hotel industry for about 10 years. I then decided that I preferred working days, and so I changed careers and became a financial advisor, and I was a financial advisor for about 22 years. I was nearing the end of that career in the sense that I was starting to feel a little bored, wanting to learn something new, wanting to do something different. So I sold that business and started looking for a business to buy with my cousin. And he and I said that we were business agnostic. We didn't really care what we were going to buy as long as we believed in the product and as long as we felt that it was a good investment opportunity. We found a metal roofing company that was for sale, looked interesting to us. We did a ton of research, decided to pull the trigger, and then bought the business in 2017.
That is incredible. I really like to hear that you've had such a vast career, spanning from different types of industries to kind of bring you to where you are today. So, generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? Do you have other outside investors, or what's that look like for you?
No, Jim and I own it outright together. He is primarily responsible for operations, primarily the production side of things. And he handles a lot of the admin type management as well. Whereas I focus primarily on general business direction and strategy, and I run sales and marketing as well.
Okay. And so, like, when you look at your role, your day to day, how many hours do you spend, say, working in the business, like the job of what you do, and how many hours would you say you spend on the strategy planning and things like that?
Yeah, great question. I think that unfortunately, as soon as I hit the office in the morning, it's almost all working in the business. I spend my evenings or weekends, or I might block off a specific day to work on the business. But I do spend quite a bit of time working on the business. I do think it's very important to detach and focus on the things that are going to make the business stronger and healthier in the long run.
Oh, 100%. Let's kind of like dive into who do you primarily serve? So if I were in your audience, how would I know I'd be a good fit for your company?
If you have a roof, you're probably a good fit. So all kidding aside, the vast majority of our business is residential re-roofing. And we only do metal roofing. So the vast majority of our customers come to us that they've just decided that they're fed up with asphalt shingles, replacing them every time there's a hailstorm, et cetera, or they just don't like the look of them anymore. And so they decide they're ready to upgrade to a metal roof. That's our client base.
And how would you say your competitors compare with you? Do you have other competitors out there?
Well, I would say that I shouldn't say any, but almost every roofing company out there says they do metal roof, and some of them do and do a decent job at it, but nobody does 100% metal roofing.
Hmm.
So that is our biggest competitive advantage, and the fact that we are specialists brings us a tremendous amount of business.
Oh, definitely. Um, What is like something you wish people knew about your business currently that they maybe don't know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the fact that we are specialists, um, people say they're specialists. You know, they say I specialize in roofing, and you ask them, well, what do you do? Well, I do TPO, and I do asphalt, and I do metal, and I do tile. Well, how are you really a specialist, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, we've really narrowed the focus to our specialization of specifically metal roofing. And in order to be able to deliver on that promise, we've got to have staff that are specialists. And our team are incredible metal specialists. And our team only does metal roofing. So, you know, I've got people on my team that have been doing metal roofing for 25, 30 years, and this is all they've done.
Hmm.
So that is a true specialist.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like you've got a well-oiled machine over there. How many employees do you currently have right now on your team?
We're at about 25 employees, and we also have subcontractor installers also who are exclusively metal specialists. And we have probably another 25 to 30 regular subcontractors that work for us.
Oh, that's really great too. Kind of diving into marketing, you said you do some of the marketing on your in the company. So this is something that we like to touch on because it's very vital to businesses out there for their success. And so I'm always curious what successful businesses are doing. And so what would you say typically percentage wise, what of your monthly sales would say you invest back into your marketing?
On average, it's about 5 to 10%.
And, for your business, how many different marketing strategies do y'all use? Are you focused primarily on one or the other? Are you utilizing social media?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we tried it all. There's no doubt about it. We've tried print advertising. We've done radio advertising. We have done and continue to do social media, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, you name it. What we have found, though, and it does take a little bit longer for this to actually produce results, but we have a very dedicated focus on our SEO. So if you Google metal roofing in Austin, we always come up as the number one or the number two choice. So our web presence is very good. So the vast majority of our new business comes to us from our website or people referring their friends and family. So those are our two biggest sources. However, I will tell you something very interesting that I learned just yesterday is you may be aware that there was a hailstorm last week.
Hmm.
And, so I had put just some educational posts out on Nextdoor, and I received a tremendous amount of feedback and interest on those posts that I had made because I wasn't specifically soliciting for business. I was just putting out educational content. And we probably booked 10 or 12 appointments in the last couple of days just from people reading our content and reaching out to us.
Wow, that's incredible to hear that. And just like how the timing kind of worked out with it and brought you that business. That's very
Yeah.
cool. When it comes to tracking your leads, like when you have these people you're working with, you have your clients, do you have a CRM that you're currently using? And if so, what are you using?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a big believer in CRM and data. So we have everything from CRMs to project management software to just Excel spreadsheets that you wouldn't believe.
Hmm.
But the CRM that we use specifically is called Market Sharp. I think it's very good from a sales perspective. It's not very good from a production management perspective, which is why we've had to employ other tools. But all of our calendaring, all of our appointment tracking, all of our lead management is done through the CRM.
Oh, very cool. That sounds like a good one. I'll have to check that one out. We've been focusing a lot on the business and a lot on marketing, which has been incredible. But I want to hear more about you. You touched a little bit on your story earlier, but I'd like to dive in. And what was your why? Why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to choosing to work for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, that takes me back to my transition from being in the hotel industry and getting into a financial planning role. Um, in the hotel industry, you work a ton of hours. It may not be like that anymore, but 25 years ago, it was crazy. We would work easily 60 hours, 70 hours every single week. And I started thinking that, whether I work 30 hours or whether I work 60 or 70 hours, I'm making the same money.
Hmm.
And so while I enjoyed what I was doing, I started looking out a little bit more long term and thinking I'm really not going to benefit from the effort that I put in, other than the occasional raise or promotion that I might get. But it really didn't seem like the best use of my time, quite honestly. So I started looking for something, and I had a huge interest in finance anyway, so it's not like I just, grabbed the first thing, but I had been thinking for quite some time about getting into that industry, but I specifically got into the industry in a self-employed environment.
Hmm.
So I did not want to be working for anybody other than myself. And so I was still working 60 or 70 hours a week in the early years, but at least now I felt like I was getting the benefit from it.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's an incredible story. Very motivating. As you kind of look back at your journey so far, what has been a memorable roadblock or hurdle, something that you were challenged with that you were forced to overcome?
So that's a more recent history one. Of course, everybody had challenges during COVID. And we purchased the business 2017. So by the time COVID happened, we'd been in it for about 3 years. And the interesting thing is that everybody was at home during COVID, so they decided what a great opportunity to get all of their home improvements done. So they were doing their windows and doors and siding and floors and roofs. And so our new sales during COVID and for about 6 months after COVID were through the roof. Um, and so it was fun in the sense that we just kept, yeah, sell, take on new contract, take on new contract, take on new contract. But then we couldn't get the metal. We had supply chain issues.
Hmm.
And so we were selling contracts, but not able to actually produce on those contracts for anywhere from 4 to 6 to even 9 months to a year in some cases, depending on the
Hmm.
metal that they wanted for their roof. And then when the metal was coming in, it was coming in at 2 times to 3 times the cost of the metal when we sold the contract. So by the time we got to the end of our backlog, we were almost paying people to put on their roofs because the costs had gotten so high, but we had a contract for a specific fixed price. So it was quite an amazing environment in the sense that we were all working more hours than you can imagine to try and keep up with the amount of business that we had in front of us, yet breaking in even losing money on most of the contracts that we were doing. So it was an extremely trying time, physically, psychologically, mentally, any way that you can imagine, stress wise.
Hmm.
We got through it, and we're still getting through it. I mean, that was one of those things that is going to take a while to recover from. But we are extremely dedicated and focused to the mission and to our customers. And we got through it, and we'll plug along, and we'll plug along to the next challenge.
What an incredible story. Yeah, that was COVID years were such trying times. And, it's really cool to hear that you've overcome that, especially, yeah, when it was so hard to get things like parts and up and like equipment and all those things and product in. So yeah, that's a feat for sure. And kind of looking towards the future, where do you want to see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
That's one of those questions I probably ask myself on a weekly basis, and I'm not sure I have an answer. I do know that I get an extreme amount of joy and energy from seeing the company grow, from seeing our people grow, and from continuing to improve what we do. Not only the final product, but how we do it, the delivery methods, client satisfaction, those kind of things. So I don't have any near-term desire to stop. I think that the energy level that I get from just being involved in this is too high. Who knows? Ask me again in 3 years, I might have a very different answer. But for now, the answer is continue to grow the company, continue to get better at what we do, and see what happens.
That is a great outlook. And kind of like switching gears a little bit, I want to learn about your leadership style. So, how would you describe your leadership style in business, and has that changed over the years?
Oh, it's absolutely changed. Yeah, I used to be pretty wound up and tight and overly demanding. But no, I think that my leadership style is that I think I make it very clear as to what the expectations are. And I think I make it very clear that delivery on those expectations is expected. But I'm also understanding and appreciative of issues that may prevent my expectations being met. I used to get upset if something didn't get done by one of my employees. Now I take a step back and I think, okay, why did they not get it done? Is it
Mm-hmm.
because I did not give them the tools? I did not give them the time. I did not give them the proper direction, or maybe the demand was greater than they are capable of. And so I spend a lot of time thinking now about why something didn't happen, or maybe it didn't happen the way I wanted, before I have the conversation with the client. I'm sorry, with the employee, so that I'm coming at it from a different perspective.
I really like that. That's powerful. And it's like it just shows too like that growth you've seen within your company with your employees and with yourself. That's really admirable. This has been an incredible conversation. There's so many wisdom nuggets. So I encourage anybody listening to this, go through this a couple of times. There's some great advice you can pull from it. So, before we wrap up, I want to dive into a quick rapid fire questions. There's four of them, and they're just answer top of mind, whatever comes first to your mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Sure.
All right. The question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
Hard work.
Number two, what is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Don't ever give up, no matter how hard it gets.
I needed to hear that one myself. What is one book or piece of content, could be a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
Scaling Up, a book by Vern Harnish.
That one sounds good too. Last question. If you had to choose only one area in your business you could immediately improve on tomorrow, what would it be?
Be my office, get it cleaned up.
That's honest. So before we get into the final question of the day, how can others learn more about your company and how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, thank you. It's very easy. Our website is greenknight.com, so it's very simple. A very educational website, and if it looks like the products and services would be of interest to you, there's a place on the website where you can go and input your information, and we'll give you a call and put you a new metal roof on your home.
Oh, well, wonderful. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. And as a small business owner myself, I have taken in so much from this. So thank you so much for sharing. I have one final question for you before we end our conversation today. What
Okay.
is what is most inspiring to you today?
My staff. I'm amazed on a daily basis about how hard they work and how focused they are on delivering what I expect. And they do it with a smile. It's they're just a great group of people.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Joel, for your words of wisdom and your honesty about business. This has been a great episode.
Thank you.